Beloved, listen to me. Within you there is a sacred reservoir of wisdom, a divine intelligence that is not of this world. It's not found in the books of men, nor in the counsels of the proud. It is breathed by the Creator himself, planted in you before the foundation of the earth. But this intelligence doesn't activate itself. You must awaken it daily. Today, I will give you 8 powerful keys to unlock this divine intelligence that is waiting to flow through you. Before the sun rises and before the demands of the world knock upon your door, there is a sacred moment, a divine invitation calling you into the holy stillness. This moment is not loud, not dramatic, not filled with fanfare, yet it holds the power to shape your entire day. In this stillness, the deepest part of your being begins to awaken. It is here, in the hush of early dawn, that your divine intelligence stirs, stretching out like a sleeping giant ready to move. The world thrives on noise. It constantly tells you to hurry, to think faster, to do more, to chase the next answer. But divine intelligence does not operate in chaos. It speaks in stillness. The Creator whispers. He doesn't shout over the clamor of the world. His wisdom flows in quiet rivers, not in crashing waves. And so every morning you are faced with a choice. Will you be a prisoner of noise or a disciple of stillness? Many people search for answers externally. They run to experts, books, news, and opinions. Yet they bypass the greatest source of intelligence, the voice of the Spirit within. That voice is not far away, it is within you. It has been there all along, waiting for you to be quiet enough to listen. But you see, divine intelligence is a gentleman. It does not impose itself. It waits to be invited. When you wake up, before you touch your phone, before you engage with the demands of the day, pause. Take a breath, close your eyes, and allow yourself to enter the sacred sanctuary of stillness. It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need eloquent prayers or rehearsed words. You simply need to be present. In that presence, something supernatural happens. The clutter of your mind begins to fade. The static of the world loses its grip. Your spirit tunes in to the frequency of heaven. This stillness is not emptiness. It's not the absence of thought, it's the presence of divine awareness. It is in stillness that the mind calms and the spirit speaks. In that space you are not trying to figure out solutions. You are simply positioning yourself to receive them. Divine intelligence is not activated by striving. It is activated by surrender. You must understand that every problem you will face today, every decision you need to make, every challenge ahead, the answer is already known in the realm of the Spirit. But unless you quiet your soul, you will not perceive it. Stillness is the bridge that connects your human mind to divine intelligence. It aligns you with the flow of supernatural wisdom that has no limits, no boundaries, no restrictions. In these moments of morning stillness, you might not hear words, but you will feel impressions. You may not see visions, but you will sense direction. It's subtle yet powerful. Divine intelligence does not always manifest in spectacular ways. Sometimes it's a sudden knowing. Other times it's a peace that anchors you. But every time you enter stillness, you come out carrying a greater measure of clarity and discernment. The greatest mistake people make is to rush into their day without accessing this inner wellspring of wisdom. They go into meetings, relationships, projects, all without consulting the one who sees the end from the beginning. But those who master the art of stillness will find themselves walking in a flow that seems effortless to others. Divine intelligence will illuminate their path, causing them to see opportunities, avoid pitfalls, and respond with a grace that the world cannot comprehend. The stillness of the morning is your sacred appointment with destiny. It is in these quiet moments that the downloads of heaven are given. Strategies will unfold, insights will come, creative ideas will be birthed, solutions will arise from places you never expected. This is not meditation as the world teaches it. This is communion with the divine. It's a dialogue where you may say little, but receive much. Even 5 minutes of true stillness, drenched in awareness of divine presence, can accomplish more than hours of frantic human effort. The enemy of your soul knows this, which is why he tries to fill your morning with distractions. But you must guard this time fiercely. Treat it as holy, because the one who commands the morning commands the day. As you practice this daily, you will notice a shift. You will become more sensitive to the whispers of wisdom throughout the day. You will walk into situations with an inner confidence, knowing that you are aligned with a higher intelligence. You won't need to react to every noise because you are anchored in a deeper knowing. You are no longer moved by surface-level information because you are operating from divine revelation. Remember, divine intelligence does not activate by accident. It is awakened intentionally, daily, in the sacred place of stillness. The world will always be in a hurry, but you, beloved, are called to live from a place of heavenly rhythm, and it all begins in the stillness. Every action you take, every word you speak, every decision you make is first birthed in the hidden chamber of your thoughts. The mind is the gateway. What you permit to dwell in your thoughts will eventually take shape in your life. There is a divine intelligence that longs to think through you, but it cannot fill a mind that is already cluttered with lesser truths. The world will always offer you a counterfeit narrative, a lens of limitation, but you must choose daily to align your thoughts with the higher truths of heaven. You are not just a physical being trying to survive. You are a spiritual vessel designed to manifest wisdom from realms far above human comprehension. But here lies the tension. Your mind is constantly bombarded by information, opinions, fears, and expectations that pull you down into a lower frequency of thinking. This is why divine intelligence cannot be activated passively. You must deliberately align your thoughts with the truths that transcend circumstances. Circumstances may scream that you are limited, but divine truth whispers that you are limitless through the one who lives within you. Challenges may shout that you are trapped, but the higher truth declares that you have been given the keys to overcome. Every day, as you awaken, there is a silent war for your thought life. Will you allow the mind to wander in the wilderness of human reasoning, or will you bring it under the governance of divine truth? Aligning your thoughts is not a one-time event. It is a moment practice. It is a continual turning of the mind's attention to what is eternal, not temporal. When fear knocks, you redirect your mind to the truth of divine protection. When doubt creeps in, you anchor your thoughts in the promises that cannot fail. This is not mental gymnastics. This is spiritual alignment. You are training your mind to come under the influence of your reborn spirit, not the fleeting emotions of the soul. There are truths written over your life that the world has never told you. Truths that declare you are seated in heavenly places, that you are an heir of wisdom, a carrier of divine strategies. But these truths must be meditated upon until they are no longer distant ideas, but present realities. Meditation is not emptying your mind. It is filling your mind with truth until that truth saturates your thoughts, influences your emotions, and dictates your decisions. Divine intelligence flows where the mind is not clogged with contradictions. You cannot confess faith while thinking fear. You cannot expect clarity while entertaining confusion. This is why your thought life must be guarded like a sacred garden. Every thought that enters must be examined. Does it align with truth, or is it a seed of deception? Thoughts are not harmless. They are seeds that grow into behaviors, habits, and eventually destiny. If you desire to walk in the realm where divine intelligence operates, you must cultivate a thought life that is disciplined in truth. When your thoughts align with heaven's perspective, you begin to perceive solutions where others see dead ends. You recognize opportunities in places others overlook. Your discernment sharpens, your intuition strengthens, because you are no longer filtering reality through the fog of human limitation, but through the clarity of divine insight. This is not a denial of reality. It is a higher submission to truth. Reality is subject to change. Divine truth is eternal. The world may present facts, but facts are not final. Divine intelligence reveals a deeper layer of truth that redefines the facts. But unless your mind is aligned, you will remain imprisoned by what is visible, while ignoring what is possible. As you discipline your thought life, you will notice an inner stillness replacing anxiety. Thoughts of lack will be replaced with awareness of abundance. Fear of failure will dissolve under the weight of your understanding that you are divinely guided. The mind, when aligned with divine intelligence, becomes a fertile ground where supernatural ideas are birthed effortlessly. You won't need to strive to figure it out because you are now thinking with the mind of the Spirit, which knows all things. Every day, throughout the day, you will have opportunities to realign. Situations will arise that attempt to pull you back into small thinking. You must respond with a spiritual reflex. I refuse to think beneath my divine identity. Speak to your mind. Command it to come into agreement with the truths that have been declared over you. Your thoughts are not rogue forces. They are servants that respond to the authority of your spirit when exercised consistently. This alignment process is the foundation for living a life of divine intelligence. It is from this alignment that wisdom flows spontaneously. Solutions arise without struggle. Decisions become clearer. You become a vessel through which divine intelligence can express itself freely, unhindered by the noise of contradicting thoughts. It is not about how much you know intellectually. It is about how deeply you are aligned spiritually. The journey to activating divine intelligence begins, continues, and is sustained by a disciplined, truth-aligned mind. Every morning, every hour, bring your thoughts back into agreement with who you are in the Spirit. Let this be your daily practice. Let it be your way of living. And you will walk in a dimension where divine wisdom flows through you like a living river, transforming not only your life, but impacting everyone and everything around you. There is an unseen realm that responds to sound. Words are not mere vibrations in the air. They are spiritual currents that shape the atmosphere around you. Every day, with every breath, you are either charging your environment with power or draining it with idle speech. Divine intelligence is voice-activated. It requires you to speak life, to declare what heaven has already established, to bring into the visible realm what is already settled in the invisible. The moment you open your eyes in the morning, the atmosphere around you is neutral, waiting for instructions. If you remain silent, circumstances will dictate the climate of your day. But if you rise with a declaration, if you speak words infused with divine truth, you begin to craft an atmosphere where divine intelligence flows unhindered. Words are not passive. They are active agents sent forth to accomplish what you release them to do. Most people underestimate the power of their own voice. They are careless with their words, unaware that every sentence carries the weight of creation or destruction. Life and death are not abstract concepts. They are literally hanging on your tongue. The question is, what are you creating with your words? Every complaint you utter pollutes the atmosphere. Every faith-filled declaration charges it with the energy of heaven. Divine intelligence does not thrive in an atmosphere contaminated with negativity, doubt, or fear. It requires a climate of faith, expectation, and authority. This is why your words must be intentional. When you declare, "I walk in divine wisdom today," you are not making a wish, you are issuing a decree. You are sending a command into the atmosphere, and the spiritual realm responds accordingly. Think of your words as keys. Each declaration unlocks a specific door. If you desire clarity, you must speak it. My mind is sharp. I hear the voice of divine guidance. If you are facing challenges, you must declare victory before you see it. I am an overcomer. Divine strategies are being revealed to me now. These are not empty affirmations. They are spiritual activations. Your words are charged with the creative breath of the Spirit. Every time you declare truth, you disrupt the influence of fear. Every time you speak life, you dismantle the structures of limitation. The spiritual realm is voice-activated, and your words are the codes that align the seen with the unseen. Divine intelligence flows through the pathway that your declarations pave. You cannot walk in supernatural wisdom while speaking words of defeat. The two cannot coexist. The enemy's greatest tactic is to silence you. He knows that a silent believer is a powerless believer. He understands that if he can fill your mouth with complaints, doubts, or idle chatter, he can neutralize the power of divine intelligence within you. But when you rise and declare, even in the face of contradiction, you begin to shift the very atmosphere around you. You are not at the mercy of your surroundings are at the mercy of your words. Your home responds to your declarations. Your workplace shifts when you speak with authority. Even your physical body listens to the words you release. The entire creation is voice responsive because it was created by the spoken word. You are designed in the image of the Creator, and therefore your words carry creative force. This is why you must guard your speech and wield it as a divine instrument. There will be mornings when you don't feel like declaring anything. The weight of circumstances may try to silence you, but it is precisely in those moments that your declarations carry the most power. When you declare truth in the face of opposition, you are releasing a supernatural force that overrides natural facts. Divine intelligence is not passive, it is proactive. It looks for a voice to partner with, and when it finds yours, it flows freely. Declare what you desire to see, not what you fear. Speak of solutions, not just problems. Proclaim wisdom, not confusion. Align your mouth with your spirit, not with your emotions. The more you declare truth, the more your environment will begin to reflect it. You are a walking transmitter of divine energy, and your words are the frequency that determines what manifests around you. You must understand, declarations are not for the purpose of convincing God. They are for the purpose of aligning you with what God has already decreed. Divine intelligence operates in an atmosphere where the spoken word clears the fog of confusion and establishes a runway for revelation to land. When you declare, "I am a vessel of divine insight," you are not hoping to become it. You are affirming what is already embedded in your spiritual DNA. Practice this daily. Let it become as natural to you as breathing. Wake up speaking life. Go to bed declaring truth. Charge every conversation with words that uplift, empower, and direct. And when challenges come, and they will, respond not with reaction, but with declaration. Speak with the authority of one who knows they are aligned with the mind of God. The atmosphere is listening. It is waiting for a voice that carries conviction, a voice that speaks not from human limitation, but from divine alignment. You have that voice. You have that power. Your words are not small. They are mighty through God. As you declare, you activate. As you speak, you establish. As you decree, you align yourself with the continuous flow of divine intelligence that turns ordinary moments into supernatural encounters. There is a realm beyond logic, a dimension where human reasoning bows to the brilliance of divine intelligence. It is a frequency not detected by the natural mind, yet it is the birthplace of wisdom, creativity, and supernatural solutions. To activate divine intelligence daily, you must learn to tune your spirit beyond logic, to lift your inner ear above the noise of reasoning and enter the stream where God speaks spirit to spirit. Logic has its place, but it is limited. It is bound by facts, by past experiences, by what is seen and measurable. Divine intelligence, however, transcends these boundaries. It knows no limits. It speaks of things that do not yet exist as though they already do. This is why the mind often struggles to comprehend the ways of the Spirit. Logic wants proof, the Spirit responds to faith. Logic demands explanation, the Spirit moves by revelation. Many people live trapped within the confines of their intellect. They analyze, overthink, dissect every detail, believing that solutions are found by piecing together fragments of information. But divine intelligence flows differently. It is not built through analysis, but released through alignment. It does not require the full picture before you act. Often it only gives you a nudge, a whisper, a gentle prompting. And in that moment you must decide. Will you trust the logic of your mind, or will you lean into the wisdom of the Spirit? The greatest breakthroughs in life are not born in the laboratory of logic. They are birthed in the secret place of divine downloads. But to receive them, your spirit must be attuned. Tuning your spirit is like adjusting a radio dial. Static clears, interference fades, and suddenly you hear the frequency that was always broadcasting. The Spirit of God is always speaking, but it requires a tuned heart to catch the transmission. This tuning is not a mystical practice, it is a disciplined awareness. It is a daily posture of surrender that says, I will not lean on my own understanding. I choose to trust in the flow of divine guidance. It means learning to silence the internal debates that arise when logic screams, it doesn't make sense. Because often, divine intelligence will lead you to act before your mind has the facts. It will ask you to move on a knowing, not a spreadsheet. There will be times when divine intelligence prompts you to take steps that defy human logic. Opportunities will arise that look insignificant to the natural eye, but are loaded with heavenly strategy. If you are bound by logic, you will dismiss them. But if your spirit is tuned, you will discern the weight of those divine setups. This is why sensitivity to the spirit is not optional. It is essential. You cannot navigate the realms of divine wisdom through intellect alone. Tuning your spirit beyond logic requires practice. It is a continual choice to prioritize spiritual impressions over mental conclusions. You may sense an inner peace about a decision that on paper seems risky. You may feel a prompting to pause when logic says rush. These are the subtle leadings of divine intelligence. It will never scream for your attention, but it will consistently nudge you toward the path of life. The world teaches you to trust only what you can see, touch, and quantify. But divine intelligence operates in the unseen. It reveals things to your spirit long before they manifest in the natural. This is why walking by faith is the gateway to accessing the higher dimension of wisdom. Faith is not the absence of reason. It is the elevation of reason into alignment with divine perspective. Every morning you have the opportunity to reset your spiritual frequency. Before you engage with information, before you dive into tasks, pause and ask, am I tuning into logic or am I attuned to divine flow? The more you practice this, the sharper your discernment becomes. You will begin to recognize the difference between a good idea and a God idea. You will discern when logic is serving you and when it is limiting you. There is a delicate dance between logic and spirit. Divine intelligence does not discard logic. It transcends it. It uses logic as a servant, not a master. When your spirit is tuned, logic becomes a tool to execute divine strategies, not a prison that confines you to human limitation. You will move with confidence even when you do not have all the answers because you trust the one who does. This tuning is especially crucial when facing decisions that have no clear path. While others are paralyzed by overanalysis, you will sense the subtle guidance of the Spirit leading you step by step. It may not always be comfortable. Divine intelligence often stretches you beyond your comfort zone, but it will never lead you astray. The key is to remain flexible, willing to adjust, and sensitive to the slightest promptings. The more you tune your spirit, the more you will experience what the world calls intuition, but what you know as the operation of divine intelligence within. You will find yourself knowing things without being told, perceiving shifts before they happen, and walking in solutions that your mind could never have orchestrated. This is not because you are extraordinary, but because you are aligned with the one who is. In a world obsessed with data, logic, and evidence, you are called to operate from a higher realm, a realm where wisdom is not deduced but received, where solutions are not invented but revealed. Tuning your spirit beyond logic is the secret to living a life where divine intelligence flows daily, effortlessly, supernaturally. Obedience is the doorway through which divine intelligence flows. It is not a suggestion. It is not an option. It is the key that unlocks realms of wisdom the natural mind cannot access. To activate divine intelligence daily, you must be willing to walk in radical obedience. The kind of obedience that doesn't pause to negotiate, doesn't hesitate to calculate, but responds instantly to the gentle whispers of the Spirit. There is a flow of revelation reserved for those who obey before they understand, who step out before they see the full picture. Many people want divine direction, but they are unwilling to yield their will. They desire revelation but are slow to respond when instruction comes. Divine intelligence is not given for entertainment, it is released for execution. The moment you respond in obedience, you create a pathway for more wisdom to flow. But delayed obedience is disobedience. Hesitation is a thief that robs you of divine momentum. Every time you resist that inner nudge, you dull your spiritual sensitivity. But when you move quickly, even in the smallest promptings, your spirit becomes sharper, your discernment clearer. Obedience is not always logical. In fact, divine instructions often contradict human logic. You may be asked to sow when it feels like you need to save. You may be prompted to step into a role you feel unqualified for. You may sense the Spirit leading you to pause when everything around you screams for urgency. This is where radical obedience is tested. It requires trust that the one who instructs you knows the end from the beginning. His wisdom is flawless, his strategies are perfect, but they require your surrender. Radical obedience is immediate. It does not wait for convenient timing. It does not demand full understanding. It moves when the Spirit says move. Every act of obedience is a seed. You may not see the harvest immediately, but in the realm of the Spirit, doors are opening, alignments are happening, and favor is being orchestrated in ways beyond your comprehension. Divine intelligence is a river that increases in flow as you obey. The more you respond, the stronger the current. The less you respond, the slower the flow. There will be times when the instruction you receive seems insignificant. It may be as simple as calling someone, shifting your routine, or speaking a word of encouragement. But divine intelligence hides in these small obediences. What appears small to you is often the trigger for monumental shifts in the spirit realm. God tests the heart in the small before he releases the big. If you cannot respond to the gentle whispers, how will you steward the weighty revelations? Obedience also requires humility. It demands that you lay aside your opinions, your preferences, even your carefully crafted plans. You must be willing to say, "Not my will, but yours." A divine intelligence cannot flow through a vessel full of its own agenda. Radical obedience empties you of self, reliance, and positions you as a conduit of divine flow. It says, "I trust your wisdom above my understanding." This posture attracts heavenly downloads. There is a rhythm to obedience. As you practice it daily, it becomes a way of life. You no longer need to debate every prompting. Your spirit becomes conditioned to respond. Obedience becomes your default, not your struggle. And as you live in this rhythm, divine intelligence begins to operate through you in ways that astound others. You'll have insights that defy your education. You'll walk into opportunities that others call lucky, but you know it's obedience opening the doors. Radical obedience also brings protection. Divine intelligence will often warn you of things your natural eyes cannot see. It will lead you to avoid places, shift your timing, adjust your plans, all for your preservation. But if you are not trained in obedience, you may dismiss these promptings as random thoughts. This is why you must cultivate a heart that responds swiftly. Obedience is not just about blessing, it's also about safety. One of the greatest deceptions is to believe that partial obedience is enough. Obeying halfway is still disobedience. When divine intelligence gives an instruction, it is precise. The provision, the breakthrough, the miracle is attached to your complete obedience. Anything less will leave you short of what heaven intended to release through you. Radical obedience is total, not selective. It does not choose which instructions are comfortable to follow. Obedience also unlocks divine timing. There are things prepared for you, but they are time-sensitive in the spirit. Missed moments of obedience can delay the manifestation of God's perfect plan. But every time you obey, you accelerate divine timing. You position yourself in the perfect flow where heaven's agenda intersects with your daily walk. This is where supernatural acceleration happens. You must understand, obedience is not a burden, it is a privilege. It is the invitation to partner with divine intelligence in real time. The God of all wisdom desires to think through you, move through you, act through you. But he requires a yielded vessel. Your obedience becomes the landing strip for divine strategies. As you walk in radical obedience, you will live in a continuous flow of revelation. You won't need to strive for direction. You will be led moment by moment, decision by decision, step by step. In a world that celebrates independence and self-reliance, you are called to a higher way, the way of radical obedience. It is the pathway where divine intelligence is not just an occasional experience, but a daily reality. When you live in this flow, you become a living expression of God's wisdom on earth. Atmosphere matters. The environment you choose to dwell in will either nurture your divine intelligence or suffocate it. Just as a seed cannot grow in toxic soil, divine ideas cannot flourish in an atmosphere polluted with doubt, fear, and negativity. Every day you are immersed in atmospheres. Some you choose, others you inherit. But you have the authority to shape the environment around you. If you desire to activate divine intelligence daily, you must deliberately surround yourself with an atmosphere that invites the flow of the Spirit. You cannot be careless with your environment and expect clarity. Divine intelligence thrives in spaces charged with faith, purity, and expectancy. The world is saturated with noise, conversations filled with gossip, media flooded with fear, music that stirs up chaos in the soul. Every sound, every word, every image carries an atmosphere, and what you continually expose yourself to becomes the climate of your inner world. You must understand that the atmosphere you allow will influence the thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, and the decisions you make. If you want to walk in the flow of divine wisdom, you must build an environment that mirrors heaven's frequency. This is not about religious rituals. It is about creating a sacred space where the presence of God feels welcomed, honored, and prioritized. You are a vessel, but you are also a gatekeeper. You decide what enters and what is expelled. The people you allow close to you also shape your atmosphere. You cannot walk with people who belittle vision, mock the supernatural, and constantly magnify problems, and expect to soar in divine insight. Relationships are spiritual climates. Some people will elevate your sensitivity to divine whispers, while others will dull your discernment. You must be courageous enough to create distance where necessary. Protect the atmosphere of your life as though it is holy ground, because it is. Building a spirit-led atmosphere requires intentionality. It begins with what you permit in your private space. Fill your home with sounds that stir the spirit, worship that lifts your heart, words that feed your faith, silence that allows divine whispers to be heard. Let your mornings be saturated with declarations that align your mind to truth. Let your evenings be filled with gratitude even before you see results. Atmosphere is not a mood, it is a cultivated environment. Your devices are also gateways. What you scroll, what you watch, what you listen to, all of it crafts the atmosphere you carry. Divine intelligence cannot flow freely through a vessel constantly distracted by empty content. There must be moments where you disconnect from the digital noise and reconnect to the divine frequency. The more you eliminate clutter from your environment, the more space you create for divine downloads. Atmosphere is not just external, it is internal. You must build an inner atmosphere of peace. Inner agitation blocks the flow of divine wisdom. The Spirit's voice is most clearly heard in the sanctuary of a quieted heart. This does not mean chaos won't attempt to intrude, but it means you carry an inner stillness that refuses to be shaken. You must learn to command your soul, to silence the internal chatter, to anchor yourself in the awareness that divine intelligence is always flowing within. When you create a spirit-led atmosphere, you become a walking sanctuary. You carry that atmosphere into boardrooms, classrooms, homes, and streets. People may not understand why they feel peace around you, why solutions come when you speak, but it's because you are hosting an environment where divine wisdom feels at home. You are not just influenced by atmosphere, you are a carrier of it. Atmosphere is also built through your habits. Consistent prayer, worship, reading, and meditating on divine truths are not disciplines for religious duty. They are the construction tools of your spiritual environment. These habits keep the air of your life clean, fresh, and conducive to revelation. Neglect these habits, and the air becomes stale, filled with the dust of distraction. Do not underestimate the power of what surrounds you. The prophets of old understood this. They built altars, sanctified spaces, created environments where heaven and earth connected. In the same way, your home, your car, your workspace can become an altar where divine intelligence descends. You must decide whether your environment will reflect heaven or echo the chaos of the world. There will be times when you cannot control the external environment, workplaces filled with negativity, situations you are assigned to walk through, but even then, you can carry a superior atmosphere within. When the internal environment is stronger than the external, you become an agent of transformation. You bring divine intelligence into places where it was previously absent. Your daily environment is either an incubator for revelation or a breeding ground for confusion. Choose wisely. Curate your atmosphere with the same care a gardener tends to a delicate flower. Remove the weeds of negativity, water the soil with life, giving words, shine the light of truth upon every corner. And watch how divine intelligence flows without resistance. As you cultivate a spirit-led atmosphere, you will find divine ideas flowing effortlessly. Solutions will arise without struggle. Wisdom will feel like second nature. You won't need to search far and wide for answers because you have built an environment where heaven's wisdom resides naturally. You have created a space where divine intelligence is not a rare visitor but a permanent resident. Every day you awaken is not an accident, it is a divine appointment. From the moment you open your eyes, there is an invitation extended to you, an invitation to activate the mind of Christ, to stir up the divine intelligence that resides within. This activation is not accidental. It begins with stillness. Before the noise of the world demands your attention, there is a sacred space where heaven speaks in whispers. In the early hush of dawn, when you silence your racing thoughts, you position yourself to receive insights that human effort could never produce. Stillness is not emptiness. It is the chamber where divine downloads are released, where solutions flow effortlessly to a heart that is quiet enough to listen. But stillness is only the beginning. Once your spirit is attuned, your mind must align. Every thought you entertain becomes the architect of your reality. Divine intelligence flows where the mind is saturated in higher truths, not human opinions. You are not limited by what the world tells you. You are governed by a superior wisdom, a heavenly blueprint that defines your identity and your destiny. Aligning your thoughts is a daily practice, a deliberate shifting of focus from fear to faith, from scarcity to sufficiency, from doubt to divine certainty. You must teach your mind to think heaven's thoughts until it becomes your natural default. Yet, thoughts alone are not enough. What you declare into the atmosphere holds the power to frame your world. Words are not casual sounds. They are spiritual codes that unlock dimensions of wisdom or close them off. Every declaration you release is a key that charges the air with expectation, authority, and divine order. Your voice is the instrument through which divine intelligence finds expression in the earth realm. Speak life, speak direction, speak truth, because the atmosphere around you is waiting for your instruction. But divine intelligence does not merely respond to declarations, it responds to alignment beyond logic. The natural mind demands to understand before it moves, but the spirit often leads you to obey before it explains. You must learn to tune your spirit beyond the confines of human reasoning. Logic is a good servant, but a terrible master. Divine intelligence speaks in frequencies that logic often cannot decipher. It will prompt you to take steps that defy data, to trust in nudges that bypass analysis. This tuning requires a surrendered heart, one that is willing to say, even when it doesn't make sense, I will trust the divine flow. And trust must manifest in action. Radical obedience is the channel through which divine intelligence becomes visible. Every instruction, no matter how small, is a seed that releases heaven's strategies into the earth. Delayed obedience disrupts divine timing. Partial obedience dilutes divine power. You must be swift to respond, willing to adjust, and fully surrendered to move even when the outcome is unclear. Divine intelligence is not just heard, it is activated through your obedience. But obedience must be nurtured in an environment where divine wisdom feels at home. Atmosphere matters. You cannot expect divine downloads in a space polluted by fear, doubt, or toxic influences. The environment you dwell in shapes the clarity of your discernment. Fill your space with sounds of worship, words of life, relationships that pull you higher. Build an atmosphere that mirrors heaven's frequency. Be ruthless in protecting your space, because your atmosphere is the soil where divine intelligence takes root. In this environment of expectancy, something miraculous begins to unfold. Your heart becomes a magnet for supernatural solutions. You stop striving for answers and start expecting them. Expectation is the womb where divine strategies are birthed. When you live with daily anticipation of heaven's intervention, you position yourself for divine surprises. Solutions will arise from places you never considered. Ideas will flow spontaneously. Breakthroughs will happen without striving because you are aligned with the rhythm of divine flow. But expectation is not passive. It is active preparation. It is walking into every situation with the confidence that divine intelligence will meet you there. It is speaking solutions before problems even arise. It is standing on a foundation of trust that what is unseen is more real than what is visible. Expectation sharpens your spiritual perception, making you sensitive to the smallest prompts, the faintest whispers, the divine nudges that guide your steps precisely. When you live this way, activating divine intelligence is no longer a momentary experience. It becomes a lifestyle. You begin your day in stillness, align your mind with truth, declare life into your atmosphere, tune your spirit beyond logic, walk in radical obedience, guard your environment, and expect daily supernatural solutions. This rhythm becomes the flow of your life. You cease to operate from a place of striving and start moving from a posture of divine partnership. The world will marvel at your insights. They will not understand how you navigate challenges with such clarity. But you will know it is not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit within you, flowing through you, manifesting divine intelligence in every aspect of your life. This is your calling. This is your daily invitation. Activate it, walk in it, and let it transform your ordinary into the extraordinary. And now, I tell you, this is not a message of inspiration. This is a call to transformation. You were never designed to live by the limits of human intellect alone. Within you is the mind of Christ, a divine intelligence that is not bound by circumstances, not confined by what the eyes can see or the ears can hear. Every day, heaven is waiting for a vessel who will dare to align, to declare, to obey, to expect, who will dare to believe that the invisible realm is more real than the noise of this world. You are that vessel. This is not about how gifted you are. It's not about how much you know. It's about how much you are willing to surrender and activate what has been placed within you. Divine intelligence is not far away. It's alive inside you, ready to flow through your words, your thoughts, your decisions, your atmosphere. But it demands a choice, the choice to rise above distractions, the choice to silence logic when it conflicts with faith, the choice to walk in radical obedience when comfort would rather keep you stagnant, the choice to expect supernatural solutions even when the facts scream otherwise. The world doesn't need more information. The world is desperate for people who live in the flow of divine revelation. You are called to be that person, so step into the rhythm. Let your mornings begin with stillness. Let your thoughts align with truth. Let your words charge the atmosphere. Let your heart be tuned beyond logic. Let your feet move in obedience. Let your surroundings reflect the Spirit, and let every breath you take be filled with expectation. Divine intelligence is your inheritance, but it must be activated daily. The time of hesitation is over. The days of spiritual amnesia are gone. This is your moment to walk, live, and manifest as a vessel of divine wisdom on the earth. Step into it daily.